One's ready. Go!
Hey everybody, before we hop into this next episode with Susan and Korey, they are air traffic control instructors, two of, I think 8 is what they said, air traffic control instructors at Combat Control School, part of the Combat Control pipeline. Again, before we hop into that episode, please head over to 18A Fitness, 18 Alpha Fitness. Use the promo code #1 and ready to get yourself a discount on a tailor-made fitness program designed for you based off of where you want to be, how much time you want to get, how much time you have to get there, and where your current fitness level is. Coach Kevin will take all of that, combine it, and tailor make a program for you based off of where you need to be, whether it's Air Force Special Warfare Pipeline, Ranger School, BUDS if you're going NSW, SFAS if you go Green Berets, or you just want to get a healthier lifestyle and be able to pick up your kids or whatever it is, check him out. Great programs, 18afitness.com, promo code 1READY. Can get your discount. Let them know we sent you. Now, enjoy this next episode with Susan and Korey. They've got, I forget how many years of experience, but both of them are retired Air Force air traffic controllers. So Susan, she's been doing it a long time. She was in the Gulf War. She tons of experience. She's married to a combat controller. Shout out Ricky. And then also Korey was Ranger, then became a combat controller, and then due to some medical stuff, ended up being an air traffic controller and actually finished out at Joint Base Lewis McChord where I was at. So I enjoyed the episode. It's a little peek inside to what air traffic control school or air traffic control is at Combat Control School. All right, later. Hey everybody, welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. You're in the team room. I have Korey and Susan, or we'll go Susie. Seems a little bit more personal. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So we'll go into each one of your backgrounds real quick because both of you are air traffic controllers that teach at the Combat Control School. So you're teaching curriculum to combat controllers, a bunch of little cones and nugs that are just now learning ATC. But I want to talk about how each one of you got there. So we'll go ladies first. Susie, give us a little bit of background on how you found yourself being an instructor, an ATC instructor at Combat Control School.
Okay, it was a divine intervention for sure. I was an air traffic controller in the United States Air Force, and I served for about 12 and a half years. I was medically retired in 2000, so I've been fighting a sympathetic nerve disorder called complex regional pain syndrome. So that was about 20 years of my life. And then we got a phone call from Ed Priest back in about, it was about August of 2021. And they said that they needed some air traffic control instructors to teach at the 352nd. So my husband went ahead and sent in my resume, and then boom, here we started in October of 2021.
It's funny because Ed's name pops up here now and then as a shadow governor kind of person. So love Ed. He's fantastic.
He's awesome.
Person.
Love Ed.
Korey, how about you?
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Korey Lindsay, like you said, had a pretty interesting career. Started out in my young days when I was 17. I joined the Army National Guard in Florida. Did that for about 2 years and decided I wanted more. So I went active duty to go into the Ranger Battalion. So I did about 5 years total in the Army. Did a couple deployments with the Rangers. I was a forward observer there. So I worked with the radios and did artillery and a lot of helicopter stuff. After Iraq and stuff, 2003, I wanted more. And I'd met a bunch of combat controllers while I was deployed a couple of times. They're like, you should come do this job. So I decided on that deployment to get out of the Army and switch to the Air Force and joined Combat Control. Did that 2-year pipeline. It took about 2 years for me. I was prior service and went to the 23rd after that. Short career in Combat Control, about 4 years total. Most of it was physical therapy. I ended up having 7 knee surgeries. Really sucked because, I had done, the Rangers and then Combat Control and then having that injury. After the seventh surgery, the medical doctor like, you got to try something else. So the hard pill to swallow, which really sucked, was getting medically disqualified, and I cross trained over to air traffic control, and I spent my last 19 years in the Air Force doing that. So I did 24 years total. I just retired in 2023 out of McCord Air Force Base. Had a lot of bases in between there, and once I got to retirement, it was, what am I going to do next? And I started doing the skill bridge, looking for what am I going to do next and what jobs. And this job popped up, teaching air traffic control at the Special Warfare. So I jumped at that, and they got me on the intern there. And in the end, I did get hired, and I love it so far because it kind of brought me back full circle. So I kind of got booted out of the special ops world, and now I'm back in it. So it's pretty awesome for me to bring it full circle around.
Nice. Well, welcome back and congrats on retirement. You know what? I know that you had said, hey, we met at like an ALS graduation. Dude, I totally remember now, and not from an ALS graduation. You came over to the 2-2 one time, and we're talking to somebody, and they introduced us real quick. Like, I think I was passing by kind of thing.
It's probably Esposito.
Yeah, I think it probably was Espo. Yeah. Okay. Well, awesome. Well, I definitely, thanks for giving that. And, man, we could probably do a episode on each of you because Susie, I know you've got some, you were services beforehand, went air traffic control, and then you went to the Gulf War, and then you did some other operations as well. And then Korey, with you going through being a ranger, and then, CCT, and then ATC for so long, like, yeah. Separate episodes for sure. But so what's kind of weird, and a lot of people may or may not know, I guess, I mean, because ATC has been at combat control school for what, 4 years now? 5 years?
So we've been there 3.5 years, but
Okay.
prior to that, the active duty instructors were TDY there from Keesler Air Force Base. So that was a little over a year.
Jeez.
prior
Yeah.
to us.
So to give people background, air traffic control school was always historically at Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi. The air traffic control school is still there now, but combat controllers used to go to the exact same air traffic control school that all the other people in the tower, the RAPCONs, and all that kind of stuff. Because I'm sure, like, when you guys went through ATC, was it both tower and RAPCON? That's what it was when I went through, but I know that they kind of ebb and flow that sometimes.
So I went through with the combat control class, and I just did tower only. And I know that's kind of bounced back and forth. Sometimes I did with the RAPCON, and then with the tower. And now I don't know what they're doing or what they were doing previously. But when I went through, it was just the combat control students were doing tower only.
Okay. What about
When
you,
I
Susie?
started 95 to about almost 98, the combat control students were in the pipeline for almost about 4.5 months. So that was in the mid 1990s.
Yeah.
But it was like that for a very, very long time before it changed.
Okay. Well, do you guys know what the kind of, I know you weren't in the seats when all this happened, but do you guys know the kind of background of why they pulled ATC or combat controllers going to ATC up to combat control school? I don't. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I wasn't there for obviously the planning stuff. But I imagine it's something to do with logistics and trying to streamline the pipeline.
Yeah. It's weird though, because you think about those active duty instructors that had to go TDY for months on end.
Yes.
And it's not like they're going someplace like, the Bahamas or something like that, like making that drive. And then, they're probably staying on base on Pope. I gotta imagine,
Yes.
and just teaching. Like, it's, I don't know. So let's kind of go into the curriculum. How does, like, at what point during combat control school does air traffic controls, the air traffic control portion start?
So you saw them at combat control school, the final course where they're going to do air traffic control.
Well, I mean, that's the only place that they do air traffic control now, right? Is at combat control school. There's no like pre-ATC or anything.
Well, it's a separate course in itself. So it's still the air traffic control school, that portion. And then when they graduate from that, the next school is combat control school, which is at the same location.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go into that because I wasn't tracking that. I thought that they basically extended combat control curriculum and then put like there was a ATC block of, 12 weeks, 16 weeks or whatever it was in there. So,
Yeah,
um,
everything same with the combat control school. They've just moved where they did air traffic control school from Keesler to here. So
okay. All right.
that's a big change. So it's still the air traffic control course that they teach at
Okay.
Keesler.
So when the students arrive, the first course that they come through is air traffic control. So they have to actually pass ATC to progress on to combat control school. So,
Okay. And like this, you probably don't have this number off the top of your head, but like, what's because we get this question a lot from people that are so worried about, oh man, I got to do problem solving skills and I hear there's a high washout rate and all that kind of stuff. So like, how many people have you seen or are you seeing that just can't quite get it and they've got to be removed or they require a whole bunch of extra training?
well, we've only had one so far out of the entire 3.5 years that haven't made it through the ATC course. So we have 7 instructors, and between all of us, we have over 125, 150 years of experience from a lot of
Jeez.
different diverse backgrounds, which is great. So it's extremely beneficial for the students.
This is actually
So,
it's really one of my favorite things when I see these students come through because I know what they're going through just from my background. And they've done some of the hardest things that the military has so far, like some hard training through the pipeline. So when they get to us at the air traffic control school, it's a different kind of hard. So
Yeah.
they're very strong. They have the strength and the mentality, but it's a different hard for them. So it's fun talking to them. And I tell them that you guys are gonna get so very frustrated because we're teaching them a kind of a new air traffic control language. We're teaching them whole new skill set, and they get on the simulator and they start stuttering and they get very frustrated because you cannot push through that.
No.
It's not a strength thing. You can't push through it. They have to study and they get very frustrated until they start getting it. And that's something I talk to them all the time, that they are going to get frustrated. It is a different kind of hard. It's not a physical hard. It's going to work your mind. And when they start struggling, they can only get frustrated, and that's what they do. And so they have to work through that. And there is, with us having the 7 instructors, that we can work with them one-on-one if they start struggling. We can see it earlier.
yeah. Well, yeah, I've got to imagine that it is definitely more one-on-one or a more intimate academic setting than it would be at a massive, back like it used to be at Keesler, at least for the combat controllers. Now, we always kind of had our own little thing, we'd have to PT in the morning or PT in the afternoon and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's the puzzle solving is fun. It's fun, but it can be so infuriating too. And especially when you can like, helicopters in ATC anyway, it seems like helicopters are combat controllers kryptonite, because we know the 0.65 and we're like, okay, well, they're going to come down runway 21 left and they're going to come that, and now I've got a helicopter transitioning. It's like, why is he transitioning? Why does he need to just come a beam to the runway? It throws us off historically anyway. I don't know if that's, well, with as much attention as you guys are giving everybody, that's probably going away now.
It is.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we follow the same curriculum that Keesler does, so we kind of have to stay in our lanes. We can give them, we stay with these students from academics all the way through the end. So at Keesler, they would kind of bounce around different instructors. So we get to see them from the beginning all the way to the end. So it's really, we could pass it. If my style of teaching isn't working, I can say, hey, go see Miss Ferreira. And we can have different training styles. It really helps a lot. At Keesler, I don't know how they have it there, but I know they don't see the same instructor all the way through because they kind of bounce around through academics. So we can see them all the way through and kind of really give them the attention they need for anybody that's struggling. And again, we're only giving them the basic air traffic control foundations. There's so much more that they have in air traffic control. So it's really just the basic fundamentals to get to where, yes, this person can control aircraft and planes and have the ability to do it. So it's really fun to see that.
To see them progress as they go from day one until the last day. So It's
Yeah.
very
Well,
rewarding.
and what are you putting them through? Like, what does their daily kind of routine look like then?
Well, we start out with 2 weeks of full-on academics. And then, so the third week through the 8th week, we take them over to the sim, and we do a lot of academics as well. But they're there and they're able to have a lot of hands-on local control, flight data, ground. So we'll teach them a task, and then they're able to perform that task right there hands-on. So that's helped a lot, having them over in a simulated environment so they can see everything instead of just learning about it as far as academics.
Yeah, it's being able to put it in practice is a whole nother thing. And then seeing the jump, at least in my experience, seeing the jump from a simulator where, okay, catastrophic things aren't really going to happen, to then jumping on, doing ATC over at Sicily, LZ, or Northfield in South Carolina, or something like that. And you're like, oh man, I'm actually talking to a real aircraft now. This is real. There are consequences to me messing this up.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because that's something new that they've incorporated is after they graduate ATC, we do take them out for live aircraft exercises. So we've gone to all the LZs and DZs. So they spend 2 days there. So the cadre take them out. And then we've had a Sherpa on this last exercise. We've had a CASA. So the students get hands-on live training. So they're actually talking to a live pilot and they're putting those skills to the test. So it's
That's
really
awesome.
yeah.
I guess that's not just me then that felt that. Like that's pretty common then, I guess.
It is very common. Yep.
Yeah, because and that's one of the things about the simulators is that every call from every aircraft that's coming in has got, they come in with the correct sequence because it is all 0.65 and it's, call sign, position aircraft, type of aircraft, all that kind of stuff. And, and it's all the same. You have some C-130 or Sherpa or helicopter, a 60 Army 60 coming in. The phraseology is not always going to be the exact same. And so it's like, wait, what did he say? What did he say? It's it's bad. um, okay. So you talked about air traffic control simulators. What do the sims look like? Like, what are they these days?
So it's pretty much same as it's been for, I don't know, it's kind of been at least 20 years. They're out of cell simulators that has 5 or 6 big monitors up front that simulate what it looks like an air traffic control tower. And it has the 3 positions, the local that's talking to guys in the plane, flight data that's kind of the secretary, and then ground control doing all the ground ops. So it's been the same simulator for quite a long time. They've kind of bounced around and we're going to do something else, but they just won the new contract. So we're going to have this simulator for quite a while. We have two big simulators and then a standalone, which is a smaller simulator for the students to practice on. And I enjoy it. It's all voice, I guess not activated, but it's all through you talk into it and they work it. And when they talk to the aircraft on the simulator, it'll respond back. That's why the phraseology is so important because it's a computer and it has to understand what the students are actually saying. So we'll run the simulator. Once we're in the sims, we're running it all day with each student, depending on how big the class is. We could have one simulator or both simulators running, and each student is going to get a graded position in each position. So we're going to run each student through each position one time where they actually get graded. And depending on the time, we can do more runs to have more practice and just kind of keep going until we're done for the day.
Yeah. We're extremely flexible, so we try to cater to whatever the students need.
And I'm sure, like, and Susie, I think you had mentioned it, that you have that experience in that, with the amount of the class size and stuff like that. So how big are the class sizes? And then how much are you able to break away and kind of go, all right, we can see, and Korey, you mentioned you get to see it early on, right? But, like, how much extra attention can somebody get? Is it, hey, we're just going to work with you until you actually get it? Or is it just like all right, man, like there's a lot of people that we need to help with. You get 30 minutes kind of thing.
We give them as much attention as they need. So some of them, you'll see they're very strong when it comes to academics. And then when they get to the simulated environment, some of them struggle. but some of them really excel in a simulated environment. So I think it's a great combination of both. And we progress. So we're trying to do, we're looking at something new each and every day. But remember that these students get to watch their fellow classmates. So if they're local, fly data ground, and then we rotate, they could see this scenario 7 times a day, 14 times a day, 20 plus times a day. So they're going to see that basic, intermediate, or advanced scenario. It's pretty much running all day long when we're in the sim.
And I had fun in air traffic control school, so this kind of takes me back.
What's really good about these students, like the combat control students, is they're a different kind of student. They want to be there.
Yep.
They're not brand new in the Air Force. They've been in the pipeline for, maybe a year, maybe a little longer, maybe less, but it doesn't matter. They all want to be there, and they are trying hard. You can see it. They really are trying. That's where that frustration comes in.
Yes.
I'm saying keep practicing your phraseology. Once it clicks, it'll start to click. But our curriculum, it's a fast and furious, so it's progressing fast. So
very quickly.
We're teaching, and then the next day, hey, we're adding more.
Yep.
So they can't fall behind. But the students are generally really, really eager, and they'll get onto each other. Teamwork is their thing. They want to all perform the best they can. So I love that they all want to be there. It makes it easier for us that they all want to be there, and they're trying really hard. And we understand the frustration. If there's somebody that is just way, way outside and just is not getting it, which is rare for us, we're going to give them the attention they need and give them every possible chance that we can. And then it goes down to the paperwork world, which we haven't really had to do too much.
They want to be there. They want to succeed individually and as a team.
Yeah, well, that's the competitive nature of them. And at the same time, like, they know that this is part of the step that you have to go through, and you've got to be good because, one, you're going to be out doing this operationally with, with actual people, actual aircrafts, in the not too distant future, for somebody who's in combat control school, like in the relatively that time frame is going to go really fast, and then they're going to find themselves on some dry lake bed someplace, whether it's stateside or overseas, or even doing a humanitarian relief. Could find themselves in Haiti or something like that, or Puerto Rico, working an airfield with just him and maybe one other person, and it's like, hey man, the stakes are real. They're high. For
that Haiti mission, a lot of those combat controllers that were there, a lot of those guys were my students. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Please, you critique them, right? Please tell me you get like. I'm sure, knowing some of those guys, I'm sure there was some struggle sessions on there.
Couple struggle bus sessions for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I was running solo back then at Kiesler, so as far as academics went, so yeah, it was great.
Were you teaching combat controllers back then?
Yeah, wow. Back at Kiesler.
Yeah, no, like I said, knowing some of the guys that were on there, I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, I could see that. So how big are the class sizes these days then that you guys are putting through?
Well, I would say when we first started in January of 2022, obviously we had a backlog due to COVID. So we were there in October. We were fully functional starting in January of 2022, and we had a class of 25. Those classes stayed probably about 24 students for that first year. And some of the class sizes, the numbers have gotten lower. So we've had, double-digit classes, and we've had some single-digit classes.
And it's all with the logistics. There's the people from Blackland and here just trying to coordinate the flow of students. They got to go to all the different courses and where the best flow is to get the students to the air traffic control course. So it's just send them to us, and we're going to teach them whatever number there is. So I know it's a huge backlog of logistical train of trying to figure out how the students are going to get to each course.
Yeah. Anybody that thinks a 2.5 year pipeline with a whole bunch of different schools, a whole bunch of different things that need to be taught both academically and physically, and practical exercises, that is not a small monster, especially when you start talking about logistics. It's and the amount of manpower that it takes to do all that. It's crazy.
Um,
So you talked about week 1 and 2 are academics. Week 3 and 8 are simulators. Like how long is the air traffic control portion? Like from beginning to end? How many weeks is it?
It's 8 weeks.
Okay, it is 8 weeks. Okay, all right. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if there was something else on the back end. Okay,
So they'll graduate and then we'll go to the live aircraft exercises. So we'll spend 2 days out in the field with them. So
okay. So
then
that's
once they
actually just separate from the course itself. They upon that 8 week graduation, is there even a graduation, or are they just like, okay, cool, okay.
it
So
is. Yep.
graduation, they get their pink card still?
No.
Okay. Well, there you go.
The air traffic control rules have changed on that. So ever since the FAA went to FAA credentialing, so that's what you get, an FAA credential card, and you don't get that until you get a fully rated in either a RAPCON or a tower. So yeah, so once you go to even for regular air traffic control out of Keesler, once they, like when I was chief controller, a lot of my towers, to get the 3 levels to my towers, and once they get fully rated, that's when I submit for their FAA credential, and that's the magical card now. So it's no longer that CTO card.
Well, okay, so that we get a question occasionally about people that want to, they receive this training because it is FAA certified, and then they get out. Can they go work at Charlotte?
It would be more difficult. I mean, they could put that they went to this course, but they still don't have a FAA credential. So that might be a requirement. Say, hey, do you have a FAA credential at a facility? Because maybe they might not take that chance. So if that's a requirement for that job, then no.
So you already have to have had a CTO rating in some regards before hopping on to a FAA, facility kind of thing.
Not like it wouldn't happen. If they want to go to the FAA, they're hiring people right off the streets with no experience. So it's not like a deal breaker.
Yeah.
But it's just saying that you wouldn't have that FAA credential if that's all you did is come through here, went to the air traffic control school, did combat control for 6 years and got out and never went to an actual facility and got fully rated. That's how the new rule is, that FAA credentialing part.
Oh, okay, cool. I did not know that. I'm still stuck in the pink cards days.
Yeah.
They'll get college community of the Air Force. They'll get credits for that though, since it's under AETC.
Towards which degree?
I think it's airway science, I believe.
Okay.
That's what
I didn't want to put you on the spot, but I think it is airway science. That's what I got mine in, but I wasn't sure if, since I already didn't know that the pink cards weren't a thing anymore. Like it's like, well, maybe
because mine was airway science, and I think they have changed it to some like air traffic control something.
Yeah,
I think they did change the name of it.
Probably changes the name.
Right. Yeah. Mine was airway science. So like,
yep.
Yeah. All right. So going into do you guys know for the students when they're coming through, like I said, at Keesler, they kind of broke out the combat controllers into, hey, you do morning PT and then you go to the kind of the later session or maybe yeah. And then for some of them, they would do early bird classes, academics and courseware, and then work out in the afternoon. So what does the kind of combat controller's day look like for you guys? And I don't know if that changes from when it's academics to sims or not, but like, are they working out in the morning and working out in the afternoon?
Yeah, they work out in the mornings here.
Yep.
Go ahead, Susie.
Oh yeah, they work out in the morning, probably 0400. They're up and going. So they have a lot of time with cadre prior to even coming to us and then starting their full academic day or sim day with us. So
a lot of time with cadre. That is a good way to put it. A lot of one-on-one time with cadre.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And they break it up because remember, you have combat control school here and air traffic control school, and it's considered 2 separate courses. So they need cadre and the support staff for each course. So they kind of split up each course will start PT at a different time. So it's good to kind of break it up so they have enough. That's a logistical thing to have, safety for all the students and enough support for each class to doing their PT time. So sometimes it varies on the times if they're doing their ruck marches or if they're doing pool time, stuff like that. But again, there's 2 courses going on here at the same time usually.
and I want to revisit this again because I think you hit on it, but I'm trying to remember and dive into it a little bit. The simulators. You said there's two types, but then there's one that's more of um, an individual is not the right one, but like, w- do do students have the ability to use the simulators after hours? Like, hey, if I need some extra work on my own, and hey, instructors, you guys have gone home for the day, and it's like, man, I really need to work through this, and they bring another student over with them to work it. Do they have access to simulators, or are they able to take maybe a simulator in a box back to their rooms?
Yeah, they have that. So they can't touch the big simulators, the multi-million-dollar ones, but that's where we have that.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah, they have the standalone simulator. It's just a much smaller. It has 3 computer screens essentially, and it's the same system, same voice system. It's just way smaller, and we teach them how to turn it on, how to work it, and they can use that anytime they want. And we highly encourage them anytime they want, and them to come over and work on it. Weekends, if they're struggling, come over and use it. They can pull up the scenarios. They can do the scenario they just did that day, find out stuff they were struggling on. But yes, they totally have that access, and they do use the heck out of it for sure.
They do.
Another thing, like we tell them, they don't need something sophisticated like that because a lot of their problems are just saying it. So all they need is two or three model airplanes and another buddy just to practice saying stuff, because a lot of it becomes very repetitious.
Yeah.
So they can just practice, just saying the same thing over and over again. Because once they get on the simulator, they do a lot of thinking and not talking. We can see it. We can tell if they didn't study or they haven't been practicing immediately. So a lot of times that's all they really need.
Yeah.
But definitely encourage them to come use the simulator, the small one.
And we send the little small static boards home, so they use those as well a lot. So
with the sticks, the like stick airplanes.
We're highly sophisticated now. They have these 3D printed airplanes. They don't have the sticks, but they still have to hold them. They hold the airplanes, but they're fancy little airplanes, 3D printed ones.
Yep.
But do they still put them on sticks and everything? And like, I remember, like, I'm actually, while you guys are talking, I'm trying to go through pictures from combat control school and kind of show you what I was talking about. But, especially because it's got Matt Allen in it too.
We tried to build some that had like a little platform to have the sticks and stuff. It was just easier just to have a student hold the plane.
Yep.
Yeah. We used to have these, and there's no way I'm going to be able to find it right now, unless I just happen to come across it. But, a little platform with a stick, and it was like a magnet. You could put just wooden airplane. You go, okay, now he's at 6 mile final. Now he's at 3 mile final. And there's just, it was really, you're right though. You don't need some fancy simulator to do it.
No.
But it does make things easier. But just the kind of rudimentary, like, all right, I'm a plane. I'm at 6 mile final. What are you saying to me? That kind of thing. Oh, I did find it. Perfect. I'm going to screen share it. This way people can make fun of me.
We're excited to see this.
Let's see. Boom. There we go.
That is awesome.
There's a young Peaches right there at combat control school.
That is awesome. That's awesome.
Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah, we still have stuff we have available. We built some, just we don't really use them too much. Just a lot of times we're doing our demonstrations. It's just easier just to hold them up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's really important what you guys are doing, because it is the foundation of what combat controllers do. Like, yeah, we've been big in the JTAC mission for the last 25 years, right? And that's been the heavy part of it. And then whenever we would work LZs, or whenever we would, have a humanitarian assistance kind of thing, like, we'd have to fall back on that foundation. And for everybody, unless you happen to go get your rating in a tower, like, it was rough for us. It's like, okay, well, all right, JTAC, I can kind of wing it a little bit, because I've been doing it for so long. ATC, it's gonna put me on my ass. So, and it's really important that you guys are providing that foundation, and Susan, I'm tracking you're actually getting your PhD in aviation. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I am.
Nice. Well, congrats on that. So, I mean, but it's not and I'm bringing that up, and the point I'm making is that it's not a surface level or wave top. Like, all right, we're going to give you a little bit of ATC because you're actually just combat controllers and like whatever we're phoning in. You guys are teaching the same stuff the same exact way, and if not more in depth, because you mentioned it, you have people that are like so eager to be there and they want to make sure they got it. Like
Yeah.
the service you guys are providing is incredible. So thank you for doing that.
Well, we love being there. I know we all love our jobs. We love being teachers. We try to, mentor the students along the way. Just I don't know, disciple them, train them, and help them be, the best combat controllers that they can be.
And our backgrounds are pretty diverse. Like
Very
you
diverse.
have my background. This is Susan's background. We have two Army air traffic controllers. I used to be. We have FAA. We had a lot of time in the FAA. So we have a very different kinds of backgrounds to kind of
Very diverse.
different experiences. So like I was
If
saying,
if I was any better at ATC, I'd probably talk crap about two Army air traffic controllers, but I'm sure they'd put me in the ground when it comes to ATC.
We
What does the
do.
Army know about ATC anyway?
they're good at helicopters.
Yes.
A lot of the helicopter stuff. So they specialize in that stuff.
Yeah.
Army does a lot of helicopters.
For sure. But if I didn't give the Army shit, then what am I really worth?
We do that a lot.
And I was in the Army, so I can listen to both sides. Was I Air Force guy or Army side? I can just
play both sides.
Another thing I'd like to for the students is that I tell them all the time, because after I did air traffic control school, then you go to Pope for the first time just to start combat control school, and you probably did the same thing. And pretty much a lot of times, the first time you see Pope is when you just arrive and you don't know anything. So these students they get to come to Pope, and it kind of gets rid of one of those unknowns of what's going on at combat control school, what's going to happen there. They get to actually see the combat control school students going through the course. They get the lay of the land, tell them, hey, memorize the flight line, memorize the rucks, because you're probably going to see all that stuff again. When I came through, it was just, you're in it. I didn't know how far we were going, where I was at. It's just all unknown. So it's another benefit for them to be here, kind of a pro that they can kind of see it before they actually start combat control school. So I don't know if that helps them, but that's kind of what I tell them. I mean, it would be nice to know, like, that's why I tell them, hey, how long is the flight line? So if you're up around the flight line and they pass the start point, well, then you know you could potentially be going this much further. So it's just another mind trick for these RUS, these pipelines that suck.
Yeah, for sure. And so speaking of that kind of like operationally, and I know that there's air traffic controllers at each of the operational units. Not active, but very much like you guys in terms of constantly continuation training, academics and that kind of stuff. And hey, these are changes from point 65 and that kind of stuff and best practices. But do you guys have many people that will kind of reach back to you? Like maybe they're on an operation or they're deployed and they're about to go work in LZ kind of thing. Do they reach back to you guys often?
I personally haven't had it yet. Like I said, I try to be a worker bee and stay in my lane. So I just, the students and teach them. But of course, if somebody came over and wanted some advice or something, I would talk to them and, hey, what's this change? Like somebody from the 2-1 came over and wanted to talk to me. Like, I'm going to answer whatever question I could about air traffic control. That's what I did. So why not?
It's not the most fair question I ask because you guys are at the schoolhouse and there's like I said, there's folks at each of the operational units that are really the ones that are supposed to be, helping out with that. But I know for sure that there have been people and they're like, hey, I've got this situation or something like that. Like, what would you have done or what would have been the right answer? Or, hey, I need some reporting points, some random reporting points. Like, hey, what do you recommend for this? I know that on the operational side of the house, they have definitely done that. And they've done
Yeah.
train ups. Like that's one of the requirements, or like if you are going to go work in LZ downrange, that, there's pre-deployment training and you got to get your ass into the simulator and start working.
Yeah. And that's why each operational unit, I mean, they still have them. They have their own simulators there with people there hired to do all that stuff with their own simulators.
But I know a lot of the students have reached out to our boss, and he's given them, if they need anything, they can call him, and he's always there to answer questions for them or to support them in any way. So that's been very awesome as well.
Yeah. It's pretty funny having Ricky, your husband, in the room, because he's shooting me information on you, and it's good because he's, as an observer, he's sitting here going like, ooh, and he's sending me questions. He's like, hey, ask this. So here's one of them. And it's good because I'm in the conversation. So oftentimes I'll miss these are two really good questions. So the first one is, what does an incoming student need to know, in order to be successful?
Go ahead, Korey.
Yeah. I mean,
You've been there. You've done it.
when they come here, like the new student, I don't really need them to know much about air traffic control, because if they were trying to pre-study, it could be wrong or they're not going to understand it. Like when they get here, it's what most of these students already do. They come here with a great attitude.
Yeah.
They come here, want to be there. They're, physically fit, so they keep the cadre off their butt, and then be ready to hit the ground running with a different kind of hard. So the academics, it's a different kind of hard. We're going to throw a ton at them.
Yeah.
So I don't want them to like pre-study stuff.
Mm.
Just come there. We're going to teach them
I
everything.
think they need to know.
We are going to teach them what they need to know, because they could be, if they try to pre-study, they might be studying the wrong stuff or old stuff or whatever it could be. Just come here with a good attitude. We have great instructors, and we're going to give them our every 110% every single day to get them where they need to be. Same with the simulator. So that's academics. When they get the simulator, you can't really pre-study that stuff unless they were a prior air traffic controller. We're going to teach them. So again, it's airfield. So you can't just, every airfield is different. So we're going to teach them about this specific airfield and all the rules about that specific airfield. It's hard to pre-study that kind of stuff. So when you guys deploy, you got to learn that new airfield you're going to be at. It's all going to be different. Every runway is going to be different wherever you go. It's all different rules. So, I mean, just to be successful, all what these students are already doing, they do it great. Just come here motivated,
yep,
and ready to learn. That's pretty much it.
Cool.
I'll be ready. They always tell me I always give them a look when I'm watching one. It's always the look. I don't say much. I just give them the look. You didn't.
Well, you'd be surprised. We get the same kind of question a lot about people that, hey, should I go to paramedic school before joining the Air Force? And it's like, no, one, that's a waste of your time and money. Unless you were already a paramedic or you're almost done with your paramedic school, like don't go getting medical training before becoming a PJ, because then we have to undo things that you've been trained in. You've got bad scar tissue, and we've got to go through and because we want you to be how we need you to be. Same with, there are people that are like, hey, I need to take an orienteering or a land navigation course. And you're like, no, dude, like sure, if you want to, but not required, because we're going to teach that to you. And it is, and I'm sure you guys can relate, it is easier to teach a blank slate than it is to go back in and like, all right, let's take off some of this scar tissue or this bad procedures, and then let's build you up from there.
I mean, it happens in our courses now. Like, just we could be hammering down one thing, like a sequencing call with 2 planes, and they'll go home and study it, but they go home and study it wrong. So then when they come in the next day, like 5 of the students are saying the wrong way. I'm like, I love that you studied. I can tell you guys studied really hard, but you studied it wrong. So now you're all saying it repetition. Now you're saying it wrong or backwards. So when you guys do study it correctly, because that's what happens. You start saying it so much that then when you actually need to, you'll say it wrong. So yeah, blank slate is the best for us.
Are you trainable? Do you have a good attitude? Just positive mindset. just be ready to learn. So take care of your business and then be open-minded and can we train you?
Yeah. And it's one of the attributes that we try and select for, right? Are you
Exactly.
trainable? And that means like, are you willing to accept feedback, criticism? Are you able to acknowledge and be humble enough to go, dude, I don't know about this at all. Or man,
Right.
my conception of what I thought I knew was completely wrong. Got it. All right. I'm locked in now. What do we got?
And they take a lot of that, before the students even arrive at ATC. So
Oh yeah. So give me the dirt then. You got to tell me, has students there been any cone on cone violence with lack of trainability or anything like that, or humility?
I mean, you could kind of see it sometimes. Somebody struggle. Nothing with like nothing crazy, but you can see like when a student's struggling or something that you can see in the back of the class. Maybe they're like, "Oh, come on, we gotta get this better."
Yeah.
And as you know, there's the three different positions. One position could kind of screw over another position.
exactly.
So if you're working one position and the other position doesn't do something right, that's usually where it comes up when
Oh
like,
yeah.
hey, what
Do your job.
you kind of didn't help me because you messed me up. So that they'll take it. The teamwork. They're going to take care of
Oh
that on
yeah.
their own. Hey, I need you to get better at that position because you're kind of messing me up. So that part's kind of fun to watch, and that's normal. That's part of learning.
The team dynamic.
And it's best to. I love when they can make mistakes in the simulator. I want them to make mistakes because they're going to remember that. I'll let them make crazy mistakes in the simulator, and so they tend to remember that a lot better when they make a decision with an aircraft. And I'm like in my head, I'm watching it going, that's not going to work. But I want them to actually see it so that I feel like they're going to remember that more. And they're like, ooh, that's 2 planes on the runway. That's not legal. We're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Make a decision,
So,
right or wrong.
I like
it's okay.
mistakes.
Yeah.
That, or you clear an aircraft for takeoff on 2-1 left, and there's a 3-mile final or maybe even short final on the same runway coming in to land, and you're like, yeah, I'm just anticipating separation. It's like, oh, that's gonna be a bit tight.
Yeah, you see it all.
We do. We give them cutoffs, and so they know. I mean, we try to help them in every way and just provide.
Usually in those scenarios, they've forgotten about the plane. Like they'll clear a plane for takeoff and they forgot about the plane that's on left base about to land. You're like, yep.
Who's that guy flying around there?
What about that plane? You're like, oh no. It's because the scenarios are not easy.
No,
they stay pretty busy, and it gets them.
No, they're not easy. Some of them are, at the beginning stages, the building blocks. But some of those final, that is I'm trying. Maybe I'm wrong here. It was about a 45 or 55-minute scenario that you're working, for like the very last couple, and it was like sweating. Just, oh my God, I can't mess this up.
Yeah, they don't like making mistakes.
No.
They do not like making mistakes. And I'm telling you, you're never going to be 100%. You're going to make mistakes.
We want you.
You're still a brand new, just learning this stuff. You're not going to be perfect. It's not going to happen. So that's what you have to do. Just keep.
Let's see. Like, this is another question for Ricky. What have you guys seen as the most effective best practice for students? And that's kind of a broad question, but like just anything in any kind of category. Like, what's something that you're like, dude, that person nailed it.
That person nailed it. Let me see. So, it's building blocks. Somebody can come in, they're the first up on the sim, and they haven't watched any of their fellow classmates. So they're the first one. It's in the morning. They're running like probably 15 minutes. We don't go any more than 25 minutes. So the students up, they're working, and they crush it. They do great. And then I guess that sets a precedent for all the other students, but sometimes it's the opposite. And hopefully we don't want it to spiral after that. But what do you think, Korey?
Best practices for the students, like it's really just them studying. I mean, they have a full workload, so they have to.
Oh, yeah.
They have to They have to time management their physical fitness in the morning, come into class, they got lunch and their after chores, whatever tasks they have with the whole thing, but they still have to fit that time to study. So I think the classes that where they get together after or really study, it doesn't have to be studied together, but they're actually studying that phraseology to get the repetition. So they're not on the microphone thinking what they're supposed to say and actually just saying it. And we can tell, like I said, the next day if they haven't been studying. We don't want them to fall too far behind, because then you keep adding. And if they fall too far behind, if they're too slow to keep up with the scenario. So it's really just that after duty hours studying. So in the simulator, we do the graded runs, and then obviously we try to get them the practice runs later. And that's really awesome for them. They get to kind of just do the scenario again without actually being graded. And we're there to assist, and the students are all watching. But I would say the best practice is just after hours when they really push the time to study phraseology or whatever it may be, whatever they do together. And we don't get to see what they're doing, whether they're coming into that standalone simulator, what they're doing back in the dorms. So I know there's some classes that they come back after maybe they've had a couple rough days, and they come back and they've done something, because we can tell immediately that they've done something to try to fix whatever problem that was. So that's really some of that stuff we don't know what they're actually doing, but it has to be just studying as a group or something like that.
Well, at the risk of it's at the risk of making an idiot out of myself, but I don't care. I do that enough as it is. And I know that we tell people, hey, don't train up beforehand, but a lot of times people have maybe a little bit of an issue understanding sequencing, right? Sequencing of aircraft. And so, like I said, it's rudimentary, but one of the things that I actually enjoy playing, especially when I'm on a plane traveling and I have hours to kill, is that ATC simulator on the iPhone, where you just drag. It's got all the different aircraft on it. So you got different speeds, you got different fuel levels, you got some that are in-flight emergencies, you got some that are weather rolling around. So like, I don't know. Yeah, am I that much of a child, or is that a decent way to conceptualize what sequencing is?
I mean, I don't say it would not hurt, because then they're at least seeing something, but they're missing the why and the fundamentals and the phraseology and what the reporting points are. Where do they sequence the aircraft? Like, they're missing all that piece. But yes, just to play the game and I'm landing this plane and crashing. I mean, it's not going to hurt, but it's not going to like help them with the fundamentals and academics on what is the overhead pattern? What is the rectangular pattern? Where's the first and second reporting points? When are you sequencing them? How am I sequencing them? Like, do I need to break them at the departure end of the runway? All this stuff. There's that piece that's going to be missing. And that's what we're going to really hammer into them when they're in the academics.
Korey, like I said, I don't mind embarrassing myself. Like, you don't have to dig in on me. Awesome. Well, we had actually, because we've been on a text chain for, I don't know, about 2 months now. And maybe it's been 3 months, but when we first kind of linked up was when the DCA incident happened with the Black Hawk, and then the private or the medical jet went down. And then I think there was like 3 that one week. Like, so have you guys, and I know that, a lot of messaging gets pushed down through the ATC community of like, hey, here were some lessons learned. Here's what we found. Here are ways that we are going to deviate from routes, or not deviate, but change routing. And just because we couldn't have anticipated this, has there been anything that you guys have made changes to from what you're either teaching or what you have personally heard, that have come out of the result of these incidences?
Well, the investigations will be ongoing for another 12 to 24 months with the NTSB. So that's a lot of stuff that I do in my classes. In my aviation classes, I have a lot of fellow classmates that are actually pilots. They have sons and daughters that fly into DC. every day. And that's very congested airspace. And to have the military operating around commercial aircraft for such a long period of time, and the pilots, they've reported that there have been incidences that have happened or taken place for quite some time. So it's unfortunate that they didn't take action earlier to try to prevent a lot of those accidents from happening. So we don't necessarily change anything based on our curriculum that has to do anything with real world, but I try to use all that information that I can get from my classes and try to bring some of that information to the students, or if they have any questions, to try to answer those real life questions.
Yeah, like Miss Susan, we're not changing the curriculum because that's a bigger problem, like bigger above us to change a curriculum. But what it does reiterate, and what we like to do, and it's something we probably already did, is tell the students like how serious this job is.
Yeah.
So have you seen the news? This is how serious stuff is. When you say the wrong call sign, or when you give the wrong vector, or you're saying the wrong things, how much of a problem that could be. That everything is recorded when they're out there. Like everything they say is going to be recorded. They're going to figure out what's going on. I like to show the class the green ramp disaster at Pope, because they're here at Pope and they get to see it. And it's the YouTube video, and it's like 15 minutes long. It kind of shows the whole how it happened, and that air traffic control voices giving wrong call signs, and it really kind of sinks into their head. I usually do it like halfway through the simulator, of course. So once they start understanding what some of the phraseology is, it's like, oh, he said the wrong call sign. You see why that's important. So definitely reiterate how important air traffic control and the importance of everything, on how dangerous it can be. One thing could go wrong, and what happens.
And a lot of it's human error. It's attributed to human error, more than 80%. So,
I don't doubt it. And you know, one of the things about being an air traffic controller, you also know that if any incident happens, your ass is going to be in the hot seat. Like there is, even if it is almost 100% on the pilots, that ATC dude is going to be like, hey, you're in the firing line.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. It's not great.
9 out of 10 times.
It's been a while since the green ramp one is the F-16 and the C-130 or the C-5, right?
Yeah, the F-16 hit the C-130, and then the F-16, they ejected and then landed on the green ramp, and that's for the C-141 that exploded. All the paratroopers on the ground.
That's right. Man, that was... I'm going to have to go back and look at that YouTube video just because, yeah, that's heinous.
It's a good teaching video.
What's that?
It's a good teaching tool for us.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And that's... So, we talk about the Navy dive tables, right? They're written in blood. Well, air traffic control procedures in the .65, that is also written in blood through accidents, aviation accidents. And that's why it's so important that, like, it's, okay, I'm going through a school and I'm talking to a computer simulator, or I'm talking to you while I'm, holding my 3D printed airplanes. But man, it is real. I mean, I remember being out here at Nellis at Texas Lake, dry lake bed, and I'm out there with my team, and I've got a new guy on the radio, and we've got 260 overhead, we've got 4 A-10s, and I think we've got some like C-130s on the ground or something like that, and I'm just have him working it because he needs to. You got to put somebody in that situation. And things are kind of going downhill a little bit, and I can see it. And, the pilots flying around are getting frustrated. I'm like, it's one of those things like, all right, at what point do I hop in? What point do I hop in? And I knew it immediately. I'm like, when it just shut down, like he just froze. And it was like, okay, that's it. I got this. And it's happening fast.
Yeah.
So
it just follows from there.
Yeah, it sure does. All right. So before we wrap up, last question for each of you, and I don't want to constrain you at all. So don't think like it can be strictly combat controller, it can be strictly ATC, it can be whatever you want, since both of you guys served, and I think you're still serving now. So thank you for what you're doing. But what advice would you give to people that are interested in air traffic controller or wherever just want to serve? It doesn't matter. Choice is yours. So, Susan, I'll start with you.
So if you want to serve as a combat controller, just understand it's a lifestyle. It's being part of a community, being an air traffic controller. That is the true foundation of being a combat controller, right? That sets you guys apart from anybody else in the field. It's the expertise that you have as far as air traffic control. So I would just, like I said, be trainable, be open-minded, be a team player, and just try to have your life squared away, right? Prior to coming in
Easier
the
said than done.
pipeline. I know there's a lot of changes going on, but everything's rapidly evolving and changing. So I would just say whatever class that you're in, or if you're in the pipeline now or want to come in, I mean, just go with the flow. Just be there, be present every day, and bring 100%. That's the advice that I would give anybody. So, but just commit 100%. And yeah, to be part of that community it's awesome.
Well, and you would know because you've been married to a combat controller for, I don't know how long you guys have been married, but you've been married for a while now, I imagine.
It's a long time.
Awesome. Well, congrats to that. How about you,
Thank-
Korey?
Yeah, I mean it's a tough question, honestly. Just go for it. Like they
Yeah.
want to be a combat controller or be an air traffic controller. Like just send it, go for it.
Yeah.
You got to be humble. You just got to jump in and be willing to learn something new. I had a roller coaster career. I started in the National Guard, then I wanted to be a Ranger, and then I was like, what's next? I tell everyone all the time, I was always average. I kind of have that imposter syndrome. Like I was never a superstar at anything in high school. I was just doing nothing. And then when I get into the Rangers and combat control pipelines, I got football stars and track athletes, and those, I was just getting through. And some of those guys would, quit. I'm like, what am I still doing here? And I never thought I was good at anything, but I always call myself average Ranger. I was always just average at everything. I was just making it, but it was my mind just getting me through it all. I was comical, I was humble, and I would just keep pushing. But I wanted to try these things. So, once I did my time in Rangers, I said, what's next? I'm going to try something crazy. Let's go punish my body some more in this pipeline. But just being humble and just looking for success, wanting to better yourself and be surrounded by, I was surrounded by rock stars for my first 10 years in my military career. Eventually, my body said, you had enough of that. But it's a tough question, but like, just try it. Like you don't want to have that look back and regret, like, man, I really should have just tried it. Like,
Yep.
That's kind of where I was always the what if. That's why I would just tack it and let's go.
No regrets. So, yeah, I'm on board. I appreciate it. So, like I said, again, thank you for joining me. I know it's early in the morning, and but mainly thank you for what you guys are doing, building the next generation and generations of combat controllers, and then obviously for what you guys did when you were both active duty and now. So, thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations on your retirement. Thank you for having us. And it's much earlier there in Vegas than it is here in North
Oh,
Carolina. So
It's all good. It's all good. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Visit onesready.com, get yourself some merch, and then we're out here. Later.
thanks.